What's up everyone, we are here playing some Mortal Kombat 2 Plus. So this is a fan-made edit of the arcade version with online play. So let's talk about the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection that came out in October of 2025. So let's just say the launch for this collection was disappointing. It was overhyped and then there were a lot of problems. The collection launched with a bunch of glitches, a lot of input delay, a lot of lag, and there was no ability or feature to invite your friends into a lobby, so matchmaking was limited to just pairing up with random players. So the whole collection was a big mess. On top of that, there was also this issue with people complaining about some of the artwork having been made by AI. That didn't bother me too much, and what I saw from the early reviews and early videos was that the online was just a big mess. It was totally broken. It was not that great. The overall experience I found from the online reviews was mixed. There were a lot of complaints that the collection launched in an incomplete state. It's one of those things where they say release it now, they'll buy it and patch it later. So upon the release of the collection, players got to try it out and they found out, yes, it's an incomplete, broken mess, especially the online. There was also the issue of input delay, which some people proved was happening in the game. They did release some patches afterwards, which fixed a couple of the issues, but by then I think it was too late because the damage was already done. You want first impressions upon release, and from there I was like, okay, it's a big mess, and so at this point it's like there's no saving it. The player base numbers for this Legacy Collection on Steam is pretty small. It's unfortunate, but I think a huge reason that happened was because the release was so bad. It was in a pretty broken state. It was incomplete in some way. And the other reason why I did not pick up the Legacy Collection is because I felt like this MK2 Plus fan-made version is superior to the original version, especially since you have 2 versus 2 and access to secret characters, which was really awesome. All this version is missing is access to Kintaro and Shao Kahn, which makes it a bit better, but overall you can play a Smoke, Noob Saibot, and Jade as well, and have a 2 versus 2 team battle, which I thought was pretty fun. The other thing I want to say is that I felt this version of MK2, this fan-made ROM hack, was so fun to play, and I wondered why this was not in the MK2 version for the Legacy Collection. I've looked at a lot of ROM hacks over the years on different games, and fans have come up with very interesting ideas or cool features in older games. So when these older games have a collection edition or a remastered version, I always wondered why these cool ideas from fans were not put into this new collection or this new remaster of the game. Let's say, for example, this Legacy Collection did release with perfect online play and all the features intact. I still think that after a month or two, the player base activity, at least on Steam, would eventually go down, because I said this before in a different video that I feel when these older classic retro games get brought back into the modern platforms like on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5, and Steam, they get a good amount of player base in the first week or so. It might last for like a month or so, but then afterwards the player base just drops. And I feel like in the very beginning of the launch week, players come back to play it for nostalgic reasons, and that's it. They get their fix and then they move on to something else. And this happens with almost every retro game out there that gets a remastered version. It always happens. The player base numbers for this collection on Steam are really low. I think at this point, the only ones who are playing it are the very hardcore fans of the collection or these games, and maybe they're dealing with the issues that were mentioned before. Maybe not everything is patched, I don't know, but yeah. I was one player who wanted to get this, but then when I saw the reviews, I was like, well, it's pretty busted on release. I think I'll pass. But if this collection was released in a much better state, especially after all the hype it had behind it, then I would have got it. But we all saw what happened. There was so much hype and excitement behind that collection, and upon release, it was busted, it was broken, missing features. There was so much input delay and lag, and I was like, yeah, that's nuts for me. No thanks. So in the meantime, I'll play this version of MK2, which I think is better. So that's it. I'll see you later.